Hi guys, Marcia here with Kitschy Style, and I'm here with my Knowme winter pattern, ME2151. It's a trench with a dramatized ruffled shoulder, buttons in the front. It comes in two lengths, a longer length and a shorter length. I can't wait to share this sew along with you, so grab your materials and your pattern and let's get started. Make sure to cut all your pieces and interface where needed. Mark all your notches and dots, and you can refer to your sewing instructions for pattern pieces, cutting layouts, and marking info. Once all is sorted, let's get started. Go ahead and reinforce the neck edge of the front through the large and small dots at the inner corners and clip dots. Stitch side edge between small dot and middle single notch. Now go ahead and stitch your darts. After you've created your dart, secure the loose thread at the dot by tying a knot. Then press the dart toward the center. Do this for both front pieces. With the right sides together, pin the back to the front shoulders and stitch. Now let's grab our side front and side back pieces. With the right sides facing, pin them together. Now take it to the machine and stitch. Next, you're going to stay stitched notch edge of the flounce and add gathering stitches between the small dots. Now I'm going to pull and gather my threads. I like to do this a little before attaching the piece and adjust it as I go when I pin it. If you would like, you can do this too. Then once you've made your gathers, you can press under 5/8 of an inch narrow hem on the outer edge. Now let's take it to the machine and stitch it. With the wrong side of flounce facing the right side of the side front and the side back, place the center small dot at the shoulder seam, matching notches and remaining small dots. Now let's baste it. Next, we're going to pin the pockets to the side front edge of the side front sections with the right sides together, matching notches and large dots. Then stitch with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Repeat this step with the remaining pockets and front sections. Then we stitch and press the seam toward the pocket, turning the pocket out. Now go ahead and pin the side front and side back to the front and back with the right sides together, matching notches, shoulder seams, and dots. If you need to clip the seams to ease the pieces together as you pin, do this as you go. Now take it to the machine and stitch it, making sure to leave the pockets open and free between the large dots. When you finish stitching, you're going to press the seams open and pockets away from each other so that we can top stitch the front pocket opening edge, squaring the stitching at the large dots, keeping side front pocket free. Do this for both pockets. Now on the inside, pin the pocket edges with right sides together to side front seams. Clip the side front seam allowance above and below the pocket if you haven't done so already. Continue to pin the pocket to the side front seam and take it to the machine, and we'll give it a stitch. Make sure to press the pockets toward the front, and with the right sides together, pin the side front to the side back. Then take it to the machine and give it a stitch. Now grab your undercollar and with right sides facing, pin the side seams together, then stitch. I went ahead and stay stitched to the neck edge of the coat between the small dot and the inner corners. Now let's go ahead and turn the coat wrong side out. And we're going to line up our undercollar to the neck edge. With the right sides together, placing the small dots nearest to the center back at shoulder seam, matching center backs, notches, large dots, and small dots. Pin the undercollar to the back edge of the coat. You can also clip the seam to the stay stitching for ease where needed. Once you're done pinning, we're going to take it to the machine and give it a stitch. Now you're done stitching the undercollar to the neckline, making sure to pivot at the corners and the dots. Go ahead and trim your seams. Now grab your sleeve. Ease stitch the cap of the sleeve in the back edge of the sleeve between the notches. With the right sides together, bring the sleeve seams together, matching the notches. Adjust the ease, and then pin. Once you're done pinning, take it to the machine and stitch. Now for the hem. We're going to turn up the hem of the lower edge of the sleeve. Make sure you turn up a 1.5 inch hem before basting it close to the fold. With the right sides together, placing center and dot at shoulder seam, matching the notches, seams, and remaining small dots, pin the sleeve to the armhole and adjust ease as needed. Now take your sleeve to the machine and stitch. Now grab your 1/2 inch thick shoulder pad. Mine is 1/4 inch, so I put 2 together. You're going to fit it for placement. And then on the inside, slip the pad in and pin it, extending it to the outer edge about 5/8 of an inch, and adjust the fit as needed. Now we're just going to tack the shoulder pad down to the armhole seam allowance. Go ahead and finish up both shoulders, and then we'll move on to facing and lining. So go ahead and reinforce the neck edge of the front facing and machine stitch the edge of the front lining. We're going to clip to the dots, making sure not to cut through the reinforced stitching. Make sure you reinforce the edges of the lapel and the lower side edge of the front facing. Then you're going to pin the side front lining to the front lining, matching the notches, and clip in the front lining to stay stitching as needed. Make sure you pin, leaving an opening below the small dot at the lower edge. We're going to take it to the machine and stitch it and give it a press. Now that you've pressed your seam, you're going to pin your side front lining to the front lining, matching your notches. Then take it to the machine and stitch. Now grab your back lining pieces. We're going to pin the center back seams together with the right sides together, and then we'll take it to the machine and give it a stitch. To make the pleat, bring the broken lines together, matching the small dots, and stitch along the stitching line above the small dot. Then press the seam and pleat to one side and baste the neck edge. Next, with right sides together, stitch the side back lining to the back lining, matching the notches and dots. Then take it to the machine and give it a stitch. Now let's grab your back lining and front lining and facing. With the right sides together, pin them to each other at the shoulders and the sides. Then we'll take them to the machine, give it a stitch, and baste the neck edge if you haven't done so already. Now let's slide to the hem of your lining. I went ahead and made 5/8 of an inch narrow hem on the lower edge of the lining, keeping the front facing free. Go ahead and do that if you haven't already. Grab your upper collar. You should have ease stitched on both sides from the large dot to the double notched edge on the collar. With the right sides together, pin the upper collar to the neck edge of the facing and lining. Make sure you place the small dots nearest the center back at the shoulder seams, matching the center backs and the single notches, and the large dots in the remaining small dots. You can clip the lining to the stay stitching where needed and stitch between the large dots. Take your time stitching the upper collar to the neck line and make sure you're pivoting at the dots. Once you're done stitching, go ahead and trim and press. Construct your sleeve lining the same as your sleeve. Go ahead and gather your stitches as needed and go ahead and stitch the sleeve lining to the jacket lining as well. Now with the right sides together, pin the facing lining to the coat, matching the centers, the notches in the small dots and large dots. Adjust the ease and facing and upper collar as needed. Don't forget to pin along the front of the jacket and the lapel all the way down to the bottom of the hem. Now take it to the machine and stitch, pivoting at the small dots at the outer corner and stitching the front opening edges below the large dots. When you're done stitching, don't forget to trim and press the seam toward the coat in the lapel area and understitch the coat as far as possible above the uppermost buttonhole mark. Then press the seam towards the facing below the lapel and understitch the facing as far as possible below the uppermost buttonhole marking. You're also going to want to understitch the undercollar as far as possible. So we're going to go ahead and do the hemline. Right now I'm marking the hemline with a ruler to keep the lining free, and then I'm going to stitch and trim it. Go ahead and turn the facing and lining inside and turning the collar right side out and the corners right side out and give it a press. Go ahead and lift the facing and the lining up on the neckline and pin it together loosely. Take it to the machine and loosely sew the neck seam allowance together. With right sides together, pin the notched edge sides of the belt. Then take it to the machine and stitch. Press the seams open, and with right sides together, fold the belt in half lengthwise, having the raw edges even and pin. Take it to your machine and stitch, leaving an opening to turn. I went ahead and turned my belt right side out, pressed it, and slip stitched the opening. Place it to the side, and let's grab your carrier, piece number 7. Fold your carrier over lengthwise wrong sides together to create a middle crease. Open it up and fold the top edge and the bottom edge into that middle crease, matching in the middle. Again, lengthwise, bringing the folded pressed edges together, and we're going to pin it closed and take it to the machine and edge stitch the long edges. Apply your carrier to the side seams of your coat. To secure the sleeve lining of your coat, slide your hand through the lining of your coat and pinch together the turned up edge of your sleeve hem and the hem of your lining. Pinch those together, bring them through, and you're going to pin the lining and that edge together with right sides together all the way around as far as you can. Then take it to the machine and stitch. When it's complete, you should have a nice, neat hem. I went ahead and did my lower hem on my coat the same way. All that's left is to create your buttonholes and to sew on your buttons. You can do this by machine or you can do this by hand as I'm doing now, your preference depending on the type of material you use for your coat and your buttons. Once all your buttons are on, your coat is complete. This concludes the tutorial. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and follow